Hello, viewers. I am David, the nurse. I am a critical care nurse. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. If you are yet to subscribe, please press the subscribe button so that you can get notifications for my subsequent videos. I believe you have a wonderful time listening and watching this video. In this video, I'll be talking about oxygen administration via non-rebreathing face mask. Now, why do we call it a non-rebreathing face mask? The reason is that when giving oxygen or when administering oxygen using non-rebreathing face mask, it will prevent the rebreathing of carbon dioxide by the patient. So when patient exhales carbon dioxide, we want to minimize or avoid the patient from rebreathing the same CO2 that was exhaled. So that is why we call it non-rebreathing face mask. These are the parts of a non-rebreathing face mask, and we shall be discussing each of them in this video. The first one I want to explain is the expiration valve, or we call it expiratory valve. The expiratory valve is a unidirectional valve, meaning that it allows the flow of air in one direction. It allows the flow of air in one direction. So it is called expiratory valve because it only opens when patient exhales or when patient expires. And that is the only direction airflow goes, from inside outside. It only opens when patient expires. Now, looking closely at the expiratory valve, here and here, there are two of them. It resembles the exhalation ports in the simple face mask. You can watch my previous video. I talked about the simple face mask that contains exhalation ports. The difference there is that this expiratory valve is like a rubber flap that covers the exhalation ports. And what it does is that it opens only when patient expires. So allowing carbon dioxide to move out from the face mask, preventing patient from rebreathing the carbon dioxide. Another valve is the inspiratory valve. The inspiratory valve here is also a unidirectional valve. But unlike the expiratory valve only opens when patient inspires air or when patient inhales air. That is the only situation in which the inspiratory valve opens up. And we also have the oxygen reservoir bag. This is a major distinguishing factor because when you look at a simple face mask, it does not have a reservoir bag. It is this reservoir bag that contains oxygen. So you can see the oxygen feeding line. So the oxygen enters through here, through this place, and goes into the reservoir bag. When administering oxygen via non-rebreathing face mask, we must ensure that this reservoir bag is filled up with oxygen. The reservoir bag should be filled up with oxygen. It should be inflated. It should be inflated, something like this. It should be inflated with oxygen. So it must be filled up with oxygen. It is not right for the oxygen reservoir bag to be collapsed or to flatten up when administering oxygen with it. It must be inflated with oxygen. It must be filled up with oxygen because it is from this reservoir bag that patient takes in oxygen when patient inhales. And the inspiratory valve, just like I was explaining, opens up when patient inhales oxygen so that patient will take from the enough source of oxygen from the reservoir bag and takes it in. Now the expiratory valves closes up. These expiratory valves that I explained, they close up when patient inhales air. The inspiratory valves opens up when patient inhales. Now what does that mean? When patient inhales air, it ensures that patient takes in only the oxygen from the reservoir bag. And then the reason why these expiratory valves close up is to ensure that patient does not take in any air from the atmosphere, just purely oxygen that the patient will take in. That is the idea. And reverse is also the case. When patient exhales, the expiratory valves will open to allow CO2 to escape. At the same time, the inspiratory valves will close up when patient expires. And this is to prevent the entrance of carbon dioxide into this reservoir bag. I hope that is very clear. There's no confusion about it. It is as simple as I have just explained it. So it is important that we note this and also ensure that the mask is fitly attached to the patient's face to avoid any form of escape of oxygen into the atmosphere. Now, the oxygen flow rate that is set when administering oxygen via non-rebreathing face mask is higher than that of a simple face mask. Usually it is between 10 to 15 liters per minute because it is that level, that range of oxygen flow rate that can help to fill up the reservoir bag with enough oxygen that will be enough for patients to take in. That is very important. And we can easily conclude that one of the major risks of using um, non-rebreathing face mask is also CO2 retention. And especially we must watch out for any collapse in the reservoir bag. If the oxygen pressure is getting low, the reservoir bag will get collapsed. If there is anything that detaches the patient from oxygen source, the reservoir bag will collapse. So anytime we see reservoir bag collapsing, we must pay attention to it to ensure that patient does not suffocate and have CO2 retention. That is very important to know. Now, what is the difference between non-rebreather and partial rebreather? What's the difference between non-rebreather and partial rebreather? The difference is very simple. A partial rebreather simply means that patients can still take in little CO2. It gives allowance for patients to take in little amount of CO2 that was exhaled. While, like I explained, that a non-rebreather does not give room for that. Now, how does a partial rebreather give room for it? A partial rebreather face mask does not have an inspiratory valve. And you know the implication of that. I explained initially that inspiratory valves only open when patient inspires and it closes when patient expires. So CO2 cannot enter the reservoir bag. But now that a partial rebreather does not have inspiratory valve, it means that when patient expires, CO2 has that privilege of entering the reservoir bag. And then when patient want to inspire air, patient will inspire part of that CO2 into the lungs. Okay, so that is a major difference between a non-rebreather and a partial rebreather face mask. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Again, I want to remind you, press the subscribe button so that you can get notification for my subsequent video. Thank you so much.